There once was a man named Thomas Jugston the Fifth. He was an angry man. He came from a land of blood and horror, the land of Thrax, born to Vligdar, god of the axe, and Zizzlebitch, queen of menstruation. He came into the world screaming the curdling howl of 4,000 angry wolves, each being repeatedly stung by 4,000 angry wasps, each fueled by 4,000 grams of cocaine. It was in this monumental birthing moment of the righteous slaughtertude that he knew his mission. He was but an infant, but he was still a man of men, the manest man to ever man, so man that man could not describe his level of man. And so the child of seconds embarked on the quest of manhood, for he was encompassed by doom, doom that only the most man of men could understand, knowing that his weak and feeble childish body could not endure the ziggurat of tribulation that awaited him. He began eating dirt. Through this dirt he absorbed the power of the world, the mighty power to slay gods themselves, to reach deep into the torso of his enemies and to disembowel them with a single muscle flex, to shower in their gore, a monumental feat of his manhood, and thus he claimed the title of Rage Fist Hammerdick. He did not need a weapon. His hands were weapons, but nay, they were too strong. A man he was, so he favored sport. He knew there was but one thing he could use in glorious, glorious battle: his massive penis. And so was born the legend of the man and the Hammerdick. He knew he must slay the 9 things that every man must slay: a dragon, a lich, a king. Fans of the sports teams he did not support, dissenting opinions, and 4 other things picked at random. He set out on this task, accomplishing one task after another. He battled the dragon because he could, ignoring its fire and smashing it repeatedly over and over with his massive penis. He didn't even need it to get hard. He just slapped it with its giant flaccid girth. He also took care of the other 8 things because he was manly and hard and metally hard. He did things no man could. He drove a car made of diamonds through a wall made of diamonds. For 95 years he wandered the lands, people terrified of the wretched tales of a man so manly that he had but whack another with his monumental cockbat to cause a massive blood splosion to cover the lands in the seeping fluids of the vanquished. But he was tired. 95 years was a long time for a cock rampage, and he wanted to retire. He had conquered everything, from the fiery pits of Amandor to the fuck whales of Nazaroth. His manhood had made the world his bitch. The halls of his house filled to the brim with the blood of his enemies. He had only one conquest left in him, the most devious and deadly conquest of all: tax law. It was there he finally met his match, in the courtroom of abrogation, high on the hills of the defeated, past the fields of the mired, on the plains of the damned, in the region of the mutilated, past the lake of the bleeding blood fire, up the river of bones, across the sea of flaming shit, which met the beaches of oozing wounds, surrounded by the cliffs of 9,000 pikes, covered in the grass of sorrows, mowed by the lawnmower of death, driven by the gardener of brutality, employed by the mistress of woe, married to the lord of rape, son of the king of torture, who prayed to the angel of death, who served the god of annihilation, who created the world of torment, which inhabited the suffering of the universe, which created the people of Torque, which plowed the crops of misery, which fed the armies of nihilism, which battled the hordes of the hard, which fought for the kingdom of the sloth, which exported the pigs of pain, which produced the bacon of disheartenment, which went into the stores of the daunted, which was purchased by the people of dismay, and eaten by the mouths of the dejected, and dissolved by the saliva of the dispirited, and ingested by the esophagus of the discouraged, into the stomach of the disparaged, through the bowels of the distressed, out the anuses of the deprecated, into the toilet bowls of vexation, down the drains of prostration, into the sewers of the confused, into the streams of the irked, into the reservoirs of the frightened, where it mixed with the water of nightmares, to be drunk by the cast-down villages with beaten-down eyes, so they could sustain their lives of endless affliction, a heaping existence of wretchedness, their endless tribulation as they were forced to live in the fissure of anguish, walled in by the steps of melancholy under the black skies of tribulation which compose the atmosphere of catastrophe, holding in the elements of lamentation on the planet of the weeping, heated by the star of violence, in the solar system of dolor, in the arm of agony, in the galaxy of paroxysm, in the local cluster of frenzy, in the universe of happiness. In this courthouse he argued day and night in the bloodiest, goriest, grisly case ever seen before a judge. After 50,000 moons he was finally exhausted. He had given it his all. But he learned then what it meant to be a real man. Not just a man, but a man who could call himself a man. He was more than brutal, more than metal. He now embodied the very concept of fuck. And it was good. He was good. The good was good. Good like the world had never seen. A level of good that defined how all other levels of good would be defined for the next 67 billion years. So as he looked across all he had accomplished, the slaughter, the rocking, the massive rape rampages, he smiled and exploded. This was not the end of his story, however, as you may think, being the teat-suckling Nancy boy you are. His cock rose out of the ashes of his exploded body. It had gained the power of will. He was finally 100% cock, for in that moment the truth of the gains of childhood were understood. The Jazaeth did look upon Nate and say to him, "For you see, a penis is all that matters, for when you are a penis, everything is cock." And then everything was cock. From the blades of grass to the vast windless seas, penis had replaced all.